Okay, so today I am going to be trying just using the internal microphone on my phone. Just because I think recording to some or listening to some quick recordings, it sounded a little bit better and more natural. It had a bit more bass in it than my microphone pack did. And I tried tweaking the EQ settings. I can't find a manual, but I can't quite get it to be how I want it to sound. So we'll just try this, and as I move left and right or whatever, you might get some weird, dissonance in the sound or whatever. But we'll just have to deal with that and see if it's too bad or not. The reason I started using the mic pack is because on my old phone, if you drop something, it would peak and then everything would go quiet for a few seconds, and you couldn't hear anything as I kept talking. So even if I put something down like that, it would cut out my voice. But anyways, today we have a Pebble steel. Pebble time steel, maybe. Um, so this is, well, it's a Pebble. But this one has an issue where these buttons intermittently won't work, apparently. Uh, and apparently you just need to connect a test point to a nearby button. And that fixes the issue. This one also has a spongy bottom button, so I'm going to try and fix that. I don't want to take the strap off because I don't have like watch tools. We'll go ahead and pop open the back, and I did already just pop the back cover off, so the only difference you'll have immediately between this and another one is that there's a vibration motor stuck on with some double-sided foam tape onto the back that you will not have to deal with, or that you will have to deal with that I won't have to, just because I already popped it off enough to see. So we're just doing these four Torx 4 screws around the outside. And then there's not very much slack on that vibration motor, so you do want to be careful when you actually take the back of this off. Oh, actually, it's stuck down again, so all I did is I just went on with a screwdriver and just sort of pried, and that got the little bit of stickiness off of there. And so now, to get the internals out, we'll just use a flathead screwdriver and poke on the top and the bottom, being careful not to damage the battery. Although it is unfortunately in a very good spot for prying. You don't want to go on the sides and, hit the ribbon cable that's controlling everything. That is in focus. So there's a little point here that doesn't have the ribbon cable on it. That's a decent spot to start at. And it also isn't there in this bottom left corner, so that is the guts of the Pebble. So the OLED display, or sorry, e-ink display, is housed in the front there. It connects using a zebra strip. Usually zebra strips are a pain in the ass when you take them off, but this one looks, like it's got pretty nice, big, generously sized connectors due to the low resolution of the screen. So that's not too bad. And so this is still, functioning at this point. If I press the button, it had been turning on. Oh, sorry, no, I think it needs the back connected. Although, no, I had it turned on previously with the... This isn't actually mine, so I'm not sure how they function, so it's probably got some sort of a sleep setting. If we go ahead and hook up a charging cable to it. Oh yeah, that's going to have polarity. Sorry, we're just going to lose some lights there. We just want to see this thing. Oh, yeah, there we go. So that's on now, so... Maybe I'm just having trouble hitting that tiny button. Okay, well that's slightly odd. Let's go ahead and put it back in the case just to see if that's something weird going on. There's not much point doing the repair if it's... Oh, you know what? Maybe it has a light sensor in it. Yeah, the backlight is going on now, but it's very dim, so I think it just has actually like a light sensor in it, so it doesn't turn on all the way, and with all the bright lighting that I have in here, it thinks that it's, well, bright, because it is. Okay, so anyways, that's the guts of the Pebble out. So, from my understanding, let me get the orientation of this right. You need to connect the bottom button to the test point. So it's going to be a little knife to indicate? No. So it's going to be the bottom corner of this to test point 4. And so I'm going to zoom in on my phone just so that I can see this a little easier. Okay, so test point 4 is this one right here. Just carefully remove the Kapton tape. Oh, and that's actually just a little square section of it. Okay, I'll cut one of those out later. So, let's go ahead. Mount this up. I'd like one of these that had like a sliding clamp mechanism where you just press something in and it like sort of ratchets. And then you could fine tweak it, kind of like those big, I think they're called G-clamps. Okay, so we need to go from test point 4 to the corner of that button. Now, unfortunately, this is something else where my iron tip is very large, but from what I understand, this is just sort of like a last-ditch attempt that the guy wants to try and fix it, and if not, then that's not a huge deal. So we will go ahead and start with tinning that test point. Just get a little bit of flux on there. It's actually quite a lot for the size of this thing, but there we have our test point tinned nicely. So I'm just going out here, and you can see I'm using that same wire from my Razor Ouroboros fix. Well, not fix, from the Chroma mod, which flopped fantastically. Just as a video, not as a project. As a project, it worked amazingly. Okay, so that's a nice chunk of the enamel taken off. So we'll trim that back. And we'll zoom back in. Yes, I'll just go from... Sorry, there's just going to be some little juggling around on this one. ahead and peel that back a bit so it doesn't get melted by mistake. Okay, so that's hooked in there. It's got a very good connection. And so now to the actual test point. Now I don't want to scrape away the coating of this the actual board. So I'm going to just try and take the enamel coating off of the wire. Because the whole flex PCB there is covered, except for the test point. So a little bit of extra exposed wire shouldn't matter. And I did see one picture of someone who used actually like a really quite substantially sized wire. It looked almost like, you know, the leg of a resistor. Actually, maybe about a third of that size. But I didn't want the potential of having the case not line up properly, so we'll use this tiny stuff. These components, these surface mount ones on the actual cable, could short out, so. So that got tacked down. A little bit of flux. And I did see a second picture that showed like a connector, well, arrows from all of these sides of the buttons, but not like all of them going to that. So I'm assuming that they're all common up these sides of the buttons, but maybe that's not the case. If so, this is actually relatively simple. Might not even need to edit this video. So you can see there we've got our little 0.1mm magnet wire going from test point number 4 over to the button. So now I will take some new Kapton tape. Do as good of a job as I can cutting it out. This I might need to end up editing this video just because getting this Kapton tape to be the right size is going to be a royal pain. Alright, I'm going to find a knife. And of course, as soon as I stop recording, I find the knife just immediately there. But that's not sticking very well, that section there. I must have touched it by accident. Also, the Kapton tape I have probably isn't like crazy high quality. Okay, so this Kapton tape is just off of eBay, but I mean, it seems to work well for the most part. It's definitely resistant to the temperature, so maybe just the adhesive isn't quite up to snuff. And I imagine if you have one of the regular Pebbles, it looks like their cases are plastic, so you would not need to worry about insulating these from the case. The main thing is just that I don't want it to be visible on the actual screen. But as long as that's just on, yeah, the black border, that there should be fine. That air bubble, Undo this plastic, not so much. But I think that's them all taken care of. Okay, so come on. That is just a light diffuser. It's not like it's part of an LCD that's separated, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal if there's like a small gap in the side there. That might have been there from the start, honestly. So yeah, so there we have our button soldered up and with capped on tape on it. So then we can go ahead and now let's see, this button here is super spongy for some reason, this bottom one. It sticks in. The problem is that that's got an insanely tiny clip on it. Yeah, so I think what I'll do is maybe give a quick poke at that, but I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to do that on like a white sheet where I can see everything. And then if I am able to get that out and sort of fix this and, you know, get it so that it doesn't stay stuck down like that, then I'll add it into the video. But as far as just the fixing of the intermittent button, that's basically the process that you need to do. So if the video ends here, that's just because I didn't want to take too much risk rendering this not very usable with the button popping out. But aside from that, yeah, that is the process to repair the intermittent button connection on a Pebble Time. Suppose we can go ahead and pop this back in. And then you need the back cover to apply enough pressure. Just to keep that zebra strip seated nicely. So that's the display back on. I don't actually know how to use this, but the button was apparently fairly intermittent, and when I was testing it out quickly, it did seem like that. So it's spongy, but it's still, these all seem to work well. How do I get back out of this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, pretty intuitive. I don't know. Stopwatch. Oh, you have to be, yeah, connected to a phone, I guess. Alright. But yeah, so that is the process for repairing the intermittent connections on a Pebble Time. And if I fix this button from being spongy, I will update you. I'm guessing there's probably just some gunk built up behind it. Okay, so I think I was able to make a slight improvement to the mushiness of the button just by cleaning some stuff out of the recess that it sits in, and also just from around the spring. Yeah, it seems about the same as the other one now, actually. They're both kind of mushy, but I don't think these things were like super expensive. So, also apparently Pebble used to have the guide on how to do this fix on their website, but it was taken down at some point. So let's go ahead and press this back cover back in. There we go. Oh yeah, that's definitely popping out more. It was sticking in previously. So you can see there, nice and responsive. I want to make sure that little buzzer sticks on there properly. So I'm going to use some of this thin tape that's actually for, I bought it for doing the plastic bezel around laptop LCDs. So yeah, it's a nice, fairly thin, double-sided foam tape. And you get an awful lot of it for a fairly small amount. So it's not like you're going to be hurting for it for a while unless you're doing loads of laptop screens. And this is a really nice sort of... It's not insanely permanent where you stick it on and then it's just impossible to remove. But it's also not easy to take off either. So it's not just going to fall apart. So that should hold up to the vibration fairly well. And yep, that's, so you can see that's stuck on there. So now all we have to do is put this thing back together. So do I have a little bit of Loctite here for the screws. Fortunately, they're not, I don't think the screws are very magnetic, no. So getting Loctite on them will be slightly difficult. So I think what I'll do... Alright, so there we have pretty much the complete process, aside from getting that little super tiny clip off. Repairing the intermittent button connections on a Pebble steel or Pebble time steel. And so now you can see that other side matches the other one in terms of sponginess, and they don't seem to have any others. That's really dumb that you have to have it connected to a phone to use a stopwatch. Like, I guess it's so that you can check the one on your phone, maybe? I don't know. I mean, I get it, like, you're gonna have, you know, you're gonna have your, what you call it? Oh, you can't even change the watch face. You're gonna have your phone on you a lot. But yeah, so this is, I think, one of the more basic sort of watches. I think they were one of the first economy smartwatches, so... yeah, I'm just poking around on it now. So yeah, there we have a Pebble steel, you know, intermittent button connection repair. So, there you go.